Hi Aries, welcome to your April 2017 Tarot Oracle with a little bit of astrology reading. I'm Mimi with Divination by Mimi. We will be doing a 5-card elemental spread using the Morgan Greer deck, which is a Rider-Waite-Smith based deck. And then we will be seeking clarification using the Cartouche based on ancient Kemetic mythos and archetypes, and we have 2 types of runes if we need further clarification. So Aries, there's a lot going on in April, astrologically, a lot. So let's start with the stuff that's out there and affects you. Your ruling planet Mars is, where are we? There we go. Mars is currently in, where are you, Mars? Taurus, as of the beginning of the month. So your ruling planet is in Taurus. Your ruling planet tends to like things fiery. It's the war god, you know, just like you, fiery, active, moving, the I am, the beginning of things, the starting of things, the energy to get things going, right? In Taurus, nothing wrong with Taurus, but it's a very different energy. It's a bit slower moving, much more sensual and relaxed. Not so much about, root, let's go. Oh, let's go, that fiery furnace that you guys have, okay? So it's a little bit slower. It will be making a move, as Mars tends to move fairly quickly. By the 22nd, your ruling planet will be in Gemini. You'll be in a little bit happier place there. That happens on the 22nd. And Gemini, being ruled by Mercury, which is going into retrograde, by the way, is a little bit quicker. It's a little bit more fast, perfunctory, direct energy. But be forewarned, because Mercury is one of 4 planets going in retrograde, okay, during the month of April. So let's start there. The first planet of note, which at the beginning of the month is actually in your sign, is Venus. Venus has been retrograde since last month and will remain in retrograde status until the 15th of April. Right on the 4th, she will leave your zodiac sign and will move into Pisces and will make a conjunction with an important astrological body as it relates to all of our past. So this month is about revisiting the past on so many different levels, collectively and individually. When Venus enters Pisces, a very emotional sign, right? Very emotional, fluid, compassionate, intuitive, not something very foreign to you, actually. Not that you're not intuitive, but it's an energy that's not native to you, okay? In your purest sense. When Venus goes retrograde, she's already revisiting things from the past. She's already looking back at things that she values, like relationships, finances, things like that. When she makes a close conjunction, that's within 10 degrees on the natal chart, with this astral body called Chiron, whose archetype is the wounded healer. The wounded healer is about those old hurts, those slights that people have caused us from a very early age. She's revisiting those old hurts. So back in middle school, the girl that you asked out that you were in love with, or the guy that you asked out, they said, no way, I'd never be caught dead with you. Those kind of hurtful things that stick with us forever, believe it or not. They're running in the back of our heads, like a program in the back, like a BIOS program, totally coloring our perspective on life and really impacting our life. So as inconvenient as these retrogrades are, particularly this is an emotionally inconvenient retrograde to feel these feelings again, it's actually very helpful to us. Try to relax into the energy of it and let it happen. Approach it with humility, approach it with logic and rationale, and reevaluate those things. Am I someone that should never be caught dead with someone who's cool, who I love? Would I not be someone I'd fall in love with? Those old feelings that you might have picked up from those slights that you felt at a young age, do they serve you anymore? Are they even rational anymore? Take this time to really clean them out, throw them out, get rid of them. Now, another planet that's going retrograde, which I mentioned a moment ago, is Mercury. Everybody's pretty familiar with Mercury retrograde really affecting us in a practical way. So Mercury going retrograde, we know, is a great time to finish things you've started but not finished, but not a great time to start things. So if you've got projects half done, go tie up the loose ends. Very productive time for that while Mercury's in retrograde. What it's not a great time to do is, one, start new projects, okay? And very importantly, two, do not contractually obligate yourself to anything that will have an impact on you for the next 5 to 10 years. So between the 9th of April and the 3rd of May, if you can avoid it, do not sign any contracts or obligate yourself to anything big. So think of things like marriage, divorce, adoption, school, ending or starting, things, buying a house, selling a house, things like that. If you can hold off till after the 3rd of May and avoid making a commitment to them, I would recommend that you do. Mercury, in its retrograde process, will be in, at the beginning of the month, Taurus, okay? But right around the 9th, it's going to be going retrograde, and then by the 21st, it will make its way back to your constellation. So Mercury in retrograde tends to be about unclear information. Mercury is the hermaphroditic messenger of the gods. So if this entity is going backwards and is not clear and messages aren't clear, obviously that reiterates the fact you shouldn't sign any contracts because the information will not all be apparent to you. Secondly, when it's in Aries, which you know of yourself as a fiery, fast-moving, motivated energy, there, like a fast-moving energy, there could be a tendency to communicate quickly, okay, without thinking. And when there's miscommunication happening, when it's retrograde like this, there's a tendency to possibly say something faster and quicker that you don't mean in a tone that you didn't intend. So before you speak, try to slow down your thoughts and think before you speak. Is that really what I want to say? Before you click send on that email, reread it. Make sure it has the tone that you intend, okay? And again, it goes direct on the 3rd of May, and there's a shadow period, but things should start to be normal again. Okay, moving on the 6th of April, a big outer planet, Saturn, is going to be going retrograde. Saturn has been in the sign of Sagittarius for a while, and it's a huge planet on the outer portion of the sky of the natal chart. So when it moves, it creeps. It's very slow. But right where it's making this retrograde, it's making a very close aspect within 10 degrees called a conjunction with the galactic, I was going to say the gastrological, the galactic center. Okay. Now, when we think of Saturn, we're thinking of institutions, tried and true cornerstones of our community institutions, things like religious institutions, government, financial institutions. When a planet's in retrograde, again, we're reconsidering, revisiting things. So we collectively and individually will be reconsidering, right, those concepts, those institutions. Does this religion serve me anymore? Does its message sit well with me anymore? Am I happy with the message that this politician or this political party is expressing anymore? Does it really relate to me anymore? Have I moved beyond it? Okay, so these are kind of things collectively and individually we're going to be looking at. Saturn in retrograde will be making a square with Venus in retrograde in Chiron. A square is not a great aspect. It's an agitated, disruptive aspect. It can cause arguments, okay? It's not mellow, it's not chill, it's not smooth, it's rough, all right? When this aspect occurs with the goddess of love and relationships and finances moving backwards, reconsidering everything in close proximity with the wounded healer, right? Making this unpleasant aspect with the Saturn in Sagittarius, in reverse, near at the point of the galactic center, reconsidering all of these big institutions that have peppered our lives and affected our lives for the last 2,000 odd years. In this time frame, on an individual level, you will be reconsidering things that may have been hurtful to you individually as a result of the philosophies of these institutions. So, for example, the concept of financial institutions, a penny saved is a penny earned, does not always ring true, especially if the financial institutions are robbing you blind, in the process. Okay, so again, we're revisiting these old concepts. These old concepts that we may have had espoused to us at a very young age by these institutions and our families, which is in a way another institution, or school, or friends, are now possibly hurtful or even detrimental to us. Okay, so just using from a religious perspective, let's say you were raised Catholic, as I was, and you were kind of given the message that human beings individually with a fully self-expressed sexual being of themselves, a sexual person, being a fully expressed sexual person, that is not something that's good. In fact, that's actually bad. That's something you want to suppress. That's something that I was brought up with. And it's had an effect on me. It's had a negative effect on me. It's colored the way that I look at the world, the relationships that I get into, whether or not I enjoy a partnership, things like this. And believe me, because we're all subject to these institutions and these experiences with our internal institutions, families, school, things like that, it impacts you. It truly does. So again, with Venus retrograde in conjunction with Chiron, the wounded healer, in a square aspect with Saturn in retrograde at the galactic center, we're literally looking at, on a macrocosm level and a microcosm level, on a collective and an individual level, we're looking at things that we were taught and told at a very young age, a long time ago, and we're reconsidering. First of all, we're re-feeling the hurts. Second of all, we're reconsidering if it's rational, if it even makes sense anymore. So, as inconvenient as these feelings are going to be, they're actually very helpful to us in the long run. Okay? So, if you can, have humility, have courage, relax, be prepared to apologize. That's part of this, and I'll get to that in a second, for things you might have said and done in the past based on these old dynamics, those dichotomies, these old beliefs. Okay? Another planet that's going retrograde, this will be the third, I think, fourth that I've mentioned, is, yeah, because I'm nearly on 12 minutes explaining astrology, sorry guys, is Jupiter. Jupiter has been in the constellation of Libra, which is the 7th house, which is all about our relationships to other people, to family, friends, romantic partnerships, things like that. When Jupiter, an expansive planet, is retrograde, it's having us revisit relationships. How do we act with the other in relationships? Okay? Are we stingy with our love? Are we expressive of our love? Things like that. That's just an example. Now, with Jupiter in retrograde, in the sign of relationships, it's making a square. Again, remember, a square is that aspect that's not a pleasant, it's kind of a rough aspect. With that same Saturn retrograde, okay, at the conjunction with the galactic center in Sagittarius. What this means is, again, as we're revisiting those things we taught, those things we felt as a result of growing up with those concepts, with those philosophies, we might have come to believe something as true in the last 10 to 20 years and actually said and done things based on that truth. We might have to apologize for those now because we may not feel the same way any longer. You might find yourself saying, wow, I can't believe I said that. Or I can't believe I did that to my partner. I don't agree with that concept any longer. You know what? I feel like calling up my ex-wife and saying, you know what, Sandra, I am so sorry that I treated you like that. That was horrible. That's not part of my dynamic any longer. And I just want to say I'm sorry to you. Okay? Again, these are all very unpleasant, inconvenient things you're going to be going through, in addition to things not just running well because of Mercury. But these squares are there to teach us a lesson. Okay? All right, only 2 other things I need to mention. There is a full moon in Libra on the 11th and a new moon in Taurus on the 26th. And with that, I'll shut up about astrology and we will get into your tarot. As I think I mentioned earlier, we're using the Morgan Greer, which is a Rider-Waite-Smith based tarot. We'll be doing an elemental spread based on the 4 elements, well, actually the 5 elements, but in the 4 directions. So north, east, south, west, and in the center would be Akasha or spirit or ether. We also have the cartouche, which is Egyptian or ancient Kemetic mythos archetypes from which to clarify if we need to. Oops. Yeah, I'm sorry. There's just a lot to talk about, and I love to run my mouth, apparently. I'll try to be a little bit more direct when it comes to the cards. And the cards have been fairly direct. I haven't needed that much clarification because the energies are just so strong. Very, very strong in the month of April. Actually, through the year, that Saturn retrograde through August 25th of 2017 at the galactic center, we're collectively, the world is going to be revisiting things we believed for a long time, which can be an inconvenient upheaval. So strap in. All right, that's good. Let's find out what Aries needs to know. What does Aries need to know? Fiery, self-asserting, starting, furnace burning, fueling Aries. Fiery energy of go, go, go. Create, create, create. That essence. Beginning of the zodiac chart. It's spirit, higher self, divinity. Want to connect to Aries. What's the message spiritually? Works. Three of Pentacles in the upright is Spirit's message to you. In the north, we have the Ace of Cups in reverse. In the east, we have the Knight of Rods in reverse. In the south, we have the Empress. Somebody else had the Empress. Nice. In the upright, excuse me. And out in the west, we have the Nine of Cups in reverse. That's interesting. So Spirit is indicating to you that some project or something that you're working on, whether it seems like it's a self-improvement thing, something that you've been working on, you're reaching the first stages of manifestation in this project or in this journey that you're taking. If this is self-improvement, you're starting to see those first results, the first stages of this improvement. If it's learning, you're starting to really get concepts. If it's about finances, you're starting to really, see things in the black, that kind of thing. You're making headway. You're definitely at the beginning of the project, but Spirit is reconfirming things are going in the right direction. There's good manifested examples that things are moving correctly for you. So whatever the project is, and it looks like this is creative, right? So I'll go with the directions as they're related, but whatever you're doing, it will show fruit. Okay, so in the north, which is earth, the practical things in life, finances, health, your stuff, your things, everyday stuff. You have the Ace of Cups in reverse. So it looks like there might have been a lost relationship, a lost love. You're feeling a potential. The cups are potentials. They're the root of the element. And this element happens to be water, which tends to be intuitive, compassionate, spiritual, but most of all, it's relationships. It's our interpersonal love relationships, whether that's platonic or romantic. Okay? It looks as though something was lost before it even got started. That there was a potential for something. Perhaps you were going to move in with someone. Perhaps you were going to get married. Maybe you were going to move house. Maybe you were going to have a child, or were thinking about having a child, but some concept or some potential was lost. Something that you thought was important as it relates to your domesticity and your life, and never got a chance to get off the ground. Maybe this could be a miscarriage. So on a personal front, you may have been trying to get pregnant and have been unsuccessful, or were pregnant for a while and lost the child, or your partner did. This could also indicate the start of a relationship. Perhaps you met someone and you felt like you were, it's going somewhere, felt like, wow, we really hit it off. I really feel something here. But it didn't quite work out. Or it could be actually you starting a project as it relates to the home, and it petered out. But with the Empress down here, I'm thinking it's more to do either with relationships or with family planning. Like you were pregnant and you lost the pregnancy, or you broke up with someone. Now over here in the east is your thoughts. This is the Knight of Rods. Rods are fire. That's your element. The Knights are mutable signs. That tends to be a Sagittarian energy. So on your mind, and this is in reverse, right? Mutable energies and Knights tend to be about movement, action taken. And it seems like this has gotten you kind of down. It looks like you're kind of depressed. You don't have the normal fire that you do. This night is a fast, of all the nights, the most, obviously with fire, the most fast moving, impetuous. And whatever loss this was here is kind of, it's rained on your parade a little bit. It's affected you. It's made you a little bit down. So you're feeling a little bit, I don't know that you're feeling sorry for yourself, but this loss of potential is kind of dampened your spirits a little bit, is what I'm getting here. Okay. Now in the South, which has to do with projects and creativity, I have the Empress. This can mean pregnancy. Literally, you could be creating a baby, or your partner could be creating a baby, or it could be a project, something that you're building from the ground up. What Spirit's telling you here is that the potential to create something was here and it was lost. And you're feeling bad about it. But I think down here, I think it's a pregnancy, actually. Or a relationship. It's either the start of a relationship or a pregnancy. But I think it's a child. Either you're trying to adopt, or you were pregnant and you lost it. But Spirit is saying, you know, don't worry, because the capability is still there. In the creative realm, you've got the Empress. There's nothing more fertile than the Empress. I mean, look at that. Usually she's depicted in a large gown, which usually means she's pregnant, number one. But look at how fertile the ground is around her. She's got her foot on the moon, 28 moon cycles. Pregnancy. She's definitely in touch with the creative processes of life. Pregnancy. I really feel like there's a pregnancy that will be successful here. Try not to let this get you down too much. Try to be hopeful and look ahead. Spirit is saying here, and if this is related to the pregnancy, I really think this is a pregnancy, or a child in some way, whether it's adoption or actually biologically giving birth to a child. Whatever you're working toward here, Spirit says you're seeing the first signs of it. But over here, you have the Nine of Cups in reverse. 9 in the upright of Cups is about wishes fulfilled, as it has to do with relationships. And this is in the realm of relationships here, okay? But this is saying be careful that you're not indulging too much in the sensuality of relationships. This is warning you to keep your head straight in your relationships, in your romantic relationships, in your family relationships. Don't get too caught up. I'm going to get clarification on this. This is 9. This is Yesod. Or Oseth, I think. Hold on, let me double check the kinetic field life. Where are you, Kim? Yeah, it's Isis or Oseth. Isis or Oseth in the 9th position, which would be a Yesod in the Kabbalistic tree of life. This is the moon. The moon can be tricky. It casts shadows sometimes, and sometimes it's illuminated. Remember, it's not the light source, it's reflecting the light. There can be some trickery, there can be some misinterpretation, there can be, there's a word I'm looking for, misleading. In this process here, in this family building, in this worry of the loss and that you're feeling down here, even though Spirit's reassuring you here and here that things are on their way, try not to get carried away with the emotional side of this. This here, right, this feeling can grow if you let it go unchecked, particularly with the astrological environment that we're in this month, okay? Spirit is reminding you here it's all going to be okay. You're going to be finding the first manifested steps of the work that you've put in. Although you have a loss of something here that emotionally meant something to you and it's leaving you feeling bad, you have the Empress here. The fertility is there to make whatever this is feels like a baby, child, or an adoption, to make this happen, or this creative endeavor happen. Don't wallow. Do not sit in this feeling too long. hope that makes sense. I'll get some clarification on that. I'm sorry, you're at 25. Every single one I've just been blah, blah, blah. Sorry, guys. This is the cartouche based on Egyptian myth and archetypes. And I'm seeking clarification on this. I think it's a warning to not get too caught up and let this literally carry you down to the point where you're like lead. Because it's right here. Potential is right there. Yeah. This is the negative aspect of water. Okay, you got water in reverse. Water is an element, has to do with the moon. Again, 9 is Yesod or Aset, that's lunar, that's the moon. There's a bit of trickery that happens with the moon. It's so emotional. It's such an accumulation of cups, so many cups. Water is emotion, intuition, compassion. And when you start with your mind on your loss of energy, loss of hope, right? Loss of oomph. Despite what's ahead of you, despite what Spirit's showing you, there's manifested results of your efforts. And despite the promise of fecund results, of flowering results, there could be a tendency, especially in these emotional times, that water, the essence of emotion, right? Cups, the essence of emotion, in its reversed aspect. This is where the moon can be tricking and misleading. To dwell, to wallow in this loss. If you do that, you will miss these opportunities. You've made headway. Spirit is saying if you turn this around, if you get your head right, get back to your old self, which is an energetic, positive person who believes in himself and what he's or she's doing, this will come to pass. You will see your fruits. Do not let this, remember, thoughts can really affect our emotions and vice versa, right? Do not let this turn into this wallowing in the negative or lower octave aspects of water, of the element of water. Don't become too emotional. Don't become too drenched and wallowing in the sadness of the loss that you're feeling here. Don't take this on as an attribute. Don't take this on as an attribute, because the results will be there. The fertility will be there. All right. I am almost at 30 minutes with you, so I apologize. This was a general reading. I hope it worked for someone. I hope it helped someone. If it didn't, or if you have a question about it, feel free to leave a comment below the video. If you would like a reading specific to you or to a question that you might have in your life, feel free to email me at memes@hotmail.com. That email address can be found in the description box below this video. If I do not hear from you individually, I will see you again for the 11th of April, which is the full moon in Libra, and the 26th of April, which is the new moon in Taurus. Elsewise, I will see you at the beginning of May for the messages for May 2017. So good luck with riding these energies. Try not to dwell too much in whatever loss you might be feeling or whatever depression you might be feeling. Okay? Hang in there. Take care.